I left my intro in the washing machine. I'll do better next time, I swear. Okay, things I enjoyed. The character animations are so expressive. There's all these little nuances in the movements and the facial expressions that I'm just not accustomed to seeing in this show. And it honestly caught me a little off guard. I remember a couple of standout scenes from the past, like this interaction between Ruby and Penny, Ironwood's expression throughout this entire scene, Mercury, but the consistency in which these animations appear in Volume 9 is refreshing, and most definitely a cut above the Elder Scrolls Volume 5 where everyone acts like a 2x4. Weiss having an existential crisis is a lot of fun, and it's exactly the sort of characterization that's been missing for a while now. As a Schnee, she grew up with the expectation that the world needs to be orderly, with a series of consistent rules and explicable boundaries. The Ever After, to put it lightly, is a bit silly, so her complete denial tracks really well, and was most definitely not on my bingo board. Little wanting to belong is a moment that actually succeeded in penetrating the Doomslayer Praetor suit that is my soul. The Jinxie Peddler scene is probably my favorite in the season so far, and of everything they've shown feels the most like it was ripped straight out of a fairy tale. But as far as I can tell, it's entirely original to the show. No, I did not look that up, and if you correct me in the comments, I will be sad. I just love these ideas.
Enough hope to fill this jar.
Awesome line. Jello Apocalypse's performances. Wait, Jello, what are you doing here? You don't like this show. Also, you might have missed it, but when the facade is gone and all the items are revealed for the scams that they are, the Jinxie Peddler offers a refund. This hug is a monetary transaction. Amazing. Ruby's dialogue in the final scene is tender, sharply written, and is accompanied by a lovely little piece of musical score. This isn't the first time Ruby's held on to Penny's weapon after her demise, but it's definitely got a different tone to it this time around. Explaining the sword's value allows her to reminisce about how special Penny was to her, process her feelings, and move on. Relinquishing this weapon communicates to me that she's ready to push forward. For a show that loves to dwell on grief, this is probably the most mature reflection on a character's death so far, similar in nature to Volume 6. Even these guys didn't ruin it for me. Penny isn't even mentioned by name in this scene, and I really respect these choices because it communicates a respect for the audience that repeating a post-credits of the previous volume doesn't, as a non-specific example. Alright, I know my opinions on the intro song last week were a bit contentious, so I'm gonna play it safe this week by talking about Bumblebee. Oh boy! Regardless of where you prefer to stand in this particular minefield, I think we can all agree that up to this point they've been taking entirely too long. Bumblebee fans are frustrated by the constant hinting and lack of outright confirmation, and non-shippers may not even realize that romance is the angle they're going for. Let me tell you something, my mom has watched Ruby all the way up to the Volume 8 finale, and I once asked her for her opinion on Yang and Blake's blossoming romance, to which she replied, "The what?" That was a wake-up call and a half, because when you leave the gates of r/Ruby behind and enter the real world, there's so little in the actual show to imply their relationship that my mom didn't even notice. It's pretty clear that they want to go down this road, but they're still cruising along at 5 miles an hour in an attempt to play it safe. At the very least, it does seem like Volume 9 is finally paving the way to explore this relationship once and for all. But part of the reason I think it's taken so long to get to this point is because of how little these characters have had in the way of free time. They're always in constant peril or trying to save the world, and somewhere in the process it seems the writers have gotten the impression that what decisions they make in trolley problems and life or death situations is what defines character. I disagree. What they choose to do in their free time is equally as important for building character, and they just haven't written many opportunities for these friendships to unfold. I don't think it's a coincidence that the last time we had major progression with the bees was the one time they had a night off since Volume 3. But even on a night off, they couldn't help but talk about the war effort because they're so patriotic all the time. The irony is that Blake and Yang's first major bonding moment pertained to how much sleep Blake was losing in a misguided attempt to take saving the world into her own hands. Yang trying to persuade her to come to the dance, an activity Blake viewed as pointless, was incredibly important because taking a break is a part of life. I also don't think it's a coincidence that the time spent at Beacon was when the characters felt the most vivid, because we got the sense that they had goals and aspirations beyond joining a Monster Hunter lobby. That being said, the Ever After, by its very nature, is so far removed from the conflicts of Remnant that the writers have practically forced themselves to explore character. Where they take it from here will be curious to see, but for now, I consider this verbal acknowledgement a win. Take your victories where you can find them, I suppose. What else? Weiss dies. That's pretty cool. Okay, nice thing's over. I've already discussed the comedy in my last video, but they're pushing it really hard this volume, more so than usual. These moments in particular had me genuinely confused as to what they were reacting to and why the reactions were so severe. I had to go back 10 seconds at this moment to see if Team Ruby got collectively stung by a bee or something. The over-the-top performances combined with the awful background music, 4 minutes 11 to be specific, and cartoon sound effects just really don't work for me. I'm sorry. Also, some of the textures are really low resolution. Bye-bye.